Factors type 1, taking out a common factor. I call this the HCF method. So factorizing is another way to say dividing, and it's the opposite of multiplying. So whenever we are asked to factorize some terms, our answer must contain brackets. There are 4 types of factorizing at junior cert level. 3 of those, the answer will have 2 sets of brackets. And this is the only type, this HCF method, that the answer will have 1 set of brackets. So taking out a common factor is a method where you literally find a factor, whether it's a number, a letter, or both, that's common to every term. So in the first question we have 2b squared plus 5bc. There's no number that will divide into 2 and 5, so there's no number part to the factor, the highest common factor, but there is a b common to both. In the second question, we have 3x squared plus x. Again, there's no number that will divide into both terms, but there is an x common to both. And in the third question, we have 8a squared minus 16a cubed. So 8 and 16, there's a few numbers that will divide into those. 2 will divide into both of them, 4, 8. But remember, we're interested in the highest common factor. So 8 will be a part of our HCF. And we also have a squared and a cubed. So what would divide into both of them is a squared. So let's start off with 2b squared plus 5bc. So what I like to do is whenever I see squareds or to the power of 3 or any powers at all, I like to expand the term. So I'm going to rewrite 2b squared as 2bb. So I've expanded this b squared because b squared is really b multiplied by b. So I'm writing down the 2 b's stuck together because anything stuck together in maths means multiply. The 5bc had no powers in it, so I just leave it as it is. So this is a handy method to use because when you get to some tricky questions that have lots of powers, lots of terms, you can pick out easily what's common. So as I said already, there is no number that will divide into 2 that will also divide into 5. But what I can see is common is a b on the left and a b on the right. Do not circle that second b because there is not a second b over here to circle. So our HCF is simply just going to be b. So we're going to write down b and put a set of brackets, an empty set of brackets after it. So b is our HCF. So next I'm going to write down the first term, which is 2bb. I'm going to keep it expanded, that's going to help me. And I'm going to divide that by the HCF, which is b. So I can cancel out a b on the top and a b on the bottom. So those b's are cancelling each other out. So b divided by b is 1. So technically you'd be multiplying by 1. So that's how we're able to cancel out those b's. And what's left on the top is a 2 and another b, which we stick together. So 2bb or 2b squared divided by b is 2b. Now, you will be able to do these in your head eventually. You won't need to do the rough work, but I do suggest that you do the rough work initially until they become a bit more natural. So that 2b goes into the brackets. Now we do the same thing with 5bc. We're going to divide it by the HCFb. And again, we can cancel out a b on the top and a b on the bottom. And what's left is 5 and c, so we stick them together. And then that goes into the brackets. And we're going to stick a plus in front of it. If there was no sign in front, we just automatically assume it's a plus. So if this had been minus 5bc, dividing by b would have given us minus 5c. So that would have been a minus. But since there's no sign, we just assume it's a plus. So we were asked to factorize. This is a very, very important word because in maths there are many different things you can be asked to do and they all mean different things. So you might be asked algebraically to simplify, to solve, to expand, to evaluate, to factorize. They all mean a different thing. When you're asked to factorize, this means basically to divide, and that's the opposite of multiply. So your answer must contain brackets. So our actual answer is this. So when we are asked to factorize 2b squared plus 5bc, our answer is b bracket 2b plus 5c bracket. This is our actual answer. This is just our rough work. So it's a good idea to check your answer by writing out your answer again and then multiplying out the brackets and seeing to get back to the start. So b multiplied by 2b is 2b squared and b times 5c is 5bc. And this is what we started with, so we know that this is correct. Next, we're going to factorize 3x squared plus x. We're going to do it in the same method that we've used over here. So we start off by expanding 3x squared, and we get 3xx. So x squared is really x multiplied by x, and x multiplied by x is just two x's stuck together. So in the same way, we are going to pick out the highest common factor. We see we have 3 on the left, and that's technically a 1x, so there's no number that divides into both of those terms, but there is a letter common, and it is x. So we circle an x from each term. We do not circle the second x because there isn't a second one over here to circle. So x is our HCF, so we write it down underneath with a set of empty brackets. We're going to take the first term, which is 3xx, and divide it by the highest common factor, which is x. So we can cancel an x on the top and an x on the bottom, and we're left with a 3 and an x, which we stick together. So 3x goes inside the brackets, and then we do the same thing with x. So we're going to do x divided by the highest common factor, which is x. And anything divided by itself is 1. So we put 1 into the brackets, and again we're going to put a plus in front. So we're asked to factorize. Whenever you're asked to factorize, your answer must contain brackets, so this is our answer. So just to check, we're going to write out our answer again, and when we multiply out the brackets we should get back to this. So x multiplied by 3x plus 1 gives us 3x squared plus x. So we do indeed get back to the start again. So we know that our answer is correct. Next we're going to factorize 8a squared minus 16a cubed. So again, we're going to expand any terms that have powers. So 8a squared we can rewrite as 8aa, and minus 16a cubed we can rewrite as minus 16aaa. So first of all, we have to look at the numbers. 8 and minus 16. So what's the highest common factor for 8 and minus 16? Well, that's going to be 8. And then the letters. So what's different with this question is that both terms have two a's common. So we can circle two a's on the left and two a's on the right. And we know that a stuck onto a means a multiplied by a, and a multiplied by a is a squared. So 8a squared is our highest common factor, and we have our empty brackets. So just to explain again where this comes from. So 8 will divide into 8, and 8 will also divide into minus 16. That's the number, that's the highest common factor. And then there's two a's common to both terms, so a squared is the second part of our HCF. So we're going to take the first term, 8aa, and divide it by the HCF, which is also 8aa. So we write down 8a squared because that is officially what it should be, but it's much more helpful to actually use the expanded version when we're doing the rough work. So 8aa divided by 8aa, and anything divided by itself is 1. So we put 1 into the brackets. Then we do the same with minus 16 aaa. We're going to divide it by 8aa. So minus 16 divided by 8 is minus 2, because a minus divided by a plus is a minus. And then we want to have a look and see what we can cancel. So that a can cancel with that a, and that A can cancel with that A, leaving us with a single A. So we have minus 2A, which we put up into the brackets. So this is the first time that we've seen a minus inside the brackets. So that was because we had a minus 16A cubed to begin with, which we expanded to be minus 16AA, which we then divided 8AA into it. So a minus divided by a plus is a minus. So if you end up with no sign here, you just automatically assume it's a plus. In this case, we had a minus, so we put a minus into the brackets. So we're asked to factorize this, and this is our answer. So your answer must contain brackets when you're asked to factorize. So next, we're going to multiply out these brackets and see do we get back to the start just to check our answer. So 8a squared multiplied by 1 minus 2a gives us 8a squared minus 16a cubed. So we got back to the start, so we know that this is correct. So just a reminder of the steps involved with each of the questions. If we have any powers, so squareds or cubes, we expand those terms. And then we have a look and we see what numbers are common to both terms, what letters are common to both. So in the first example, B was common to both, so B was the HCF. In the second example, X was common to both, so X was the HCF. And in the third example, 8 divided into both of the terms, and there was also 2a's common to both terms, so 8a squared was our HCF. So going back to the first question, we took the 2bb, divided it by the b, and we're left with 2b, which went into the brackets. Then took the 5bc, divided by the b, which left us with 5c, which also went into the brackets. So this was the answer for the first one. In the second example, we took 3xx divided by x, and we're left with 3x, which went into the brackets. Then we had x, which again we divided by x. X divided by x is 1, so plus 1 went into the brackets. So this was our answer. And in the third example, we had 8aa divided by 8aa, leaves us with 1, which goes into the brackets. And then minus 16aaa divided by 8aa leaves us with minus 2a, which again goes into the brackets, and this is our answer.